Why are there so many people?
Hey everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of The Golden Bolt. This past weekend was TooManyGames 2019. It's an annual gaming convention that takes place just outside of Philadelphia, and this year was incredibly special because it was home to my first convention panel. I'd been a guest on a few panels last year, which was amazing, but this one was the first one that I was in charge of. It was my baby, if you will. The panel's topic, avoiding the main objective when playing video games, is one that I actually wanted to turn into its own video when we were brainstorming the idea, but in some strange way, the panel came out far better than I think that video would have been. So consider this a larger, special edition sort of video, featuring some awesome guests. Plus, we set a world record during this panel. If you stick around till the end, you may see history being made. Anyway, I want to keep this little intro very brief because I don't really have much pre-tape before the actual panel starts, but I do just want to say thank you to everybody that I met this year for making it such an incredible time. From meeting and talking to fans, friends, and fellow content creators, to networking with creators that had helped inspire me to make this channel in the first place, it was just a fantastic time. And that's to say nothing about the thousands of games and the way too many that I bought this year, the other panels, the concerts, the arcade, and so many other things that make this convention so amazing every single year. If you're a gaming fan and Philadelphia isn't too far out of your path, make it a point to come one year, because it'll be a great weekend, I promise. Without further ado, enjoy the panel.
Okay, I think we're good. So, hello everybody. Welcome to TooManyGames 2019's ending, the post-show.
Yeah, we're the heels now, huh?
And we're here for avoiding the objective, why we screw around in video games. Okay. I don't want to talk anymore. So first, before we start and explain what we're going to be talking about in detail here, let's talk about our hosts. Hi everybody, my name's Kevin, also known as The Golden Bolt on YouTube and everywhere else, maybe. Hi, losers.
You can't call me that. We just got together last year. I'm not a loser, I'm a nerd. You're right. Don't touch. I'm just starting over. Hey, welcome to 2017.
Welcome.
We're out of order. Okay.
Yeah, we're out of order.
Hello everyone, I am Daniel, aka Bladler on YouTube. I just happened to stumble upon here because all the seats were taken, so this is the only one that was available, so I just jumped in. I'm really tired after being at E3 last week, but I'm so honored to be a part of this panel, so yeah, let's close Team G and have some fun!
Alright, hi, I'm that Trav guy, and unlike that dude over there, I'm not going to rile you up. I'm actually going to do the opposite, so please go home.
I finally got my seat, are you kidding me?
Oh, is that you done? Oh, yeah.
I'm Nico. I came up with the panel idea.
I make the music for his channel, and I'm on Spotify. Yeah. What? Oh yeah, I made his theme song.
I love you.
Thanks for letting me sing.
I just learned that too, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what this is all about. Yeah.
So, what we're going to talk about today is using a few... No, don't press. Using a few key games, we wanted to talk about what it is that makes us as gamers not want to do what the game wants us to do. So, for example, we're going to touch on it probably, but Bethesda games, for example. No one ever completes the main quest in Skyrim. Ever. No, not one of you has done it. You're wrong.
I've only heard legends.
Even Khajiit.
You did?
No.
You're wrong.
Oh.
And we really wanted to explore what it is that made us, as people, want to do that, want to only do the side quests, want to screw around and, for example, speedrun a game, want to find glitches and other exploits and stuff like that, or just screw around in GTA multiplayer and make up our own stories, because the game won't.
Can I just say this is incredibly amazing. This panel is called Screwing Around in Video Games, and his name is Golden Bolt.
I'm out.
Get out.
Door's locked. I will.
Us.
Daniel, we need to...
So the first game on our list is actually something that Dan wanted to talk about, so
yes.
Go ahead and hit the button.
I think that when we talk about games that we screw around in, I think Grand Theft Auto as a series as a whole is the first name that comes up to mind. And I think, has anyone ever played GTA 1 or 2, like the original 2D ones? I mean, okay, there's some hands, that's pretty good.
There's ones before 3?
You know, it's not a joke. Some people actually don't know that. That's the funny part.
It's even DLC.
Yeah. The London DLC on the second game.
Yeah, there were 2 of them.
Oh, there are 2 of them. That I actually didn't know, so there you go. But the third game, that was basically, I would say it might be one of the most influential games made in the last 25 years. That basically cemented open world games out there. But I'll be honest, I never finished that game. I never finished the story mode. Because let's be honest, why would you really want to do that when you just press like 4 buttons and a giant tank shows up from the sky and just blow up everything? Like even in the middle of like, you know, what's the name of that big street in New York with a giant monitor? Times Square, thank you. Even in Times Square, they have a giant tank out of nowhere. That's why you mess around in games like that, because you can't have a tank in Times Square, usually. I hope. I think. Trav?
I'm not legally allowed to say that.
You could, you just have to be careful.
So yeah, in general too, obviously you can also do, you know, very nice things to citizens of Liberty City, you know, like hug them and like, you know, tell them how nice they are, because that's what Grand Theft Auto is all about, right?
I wish.
Tell them with a knife.
Yeah.
Nobody tell him.
Wait, what is that M doing on that cover? I don't get M. Make sure? Make sure? That box already been
Nice try, though.
Why did you say that to the one picture that actually doesn't have the rating?
I know, right? Maybe it's before it was supposed to be E for everyone.
I know for me, when I was younger, my brother and I would play the 2-player mode in GTA San Andreas all the time. And we'd use every cheat in the book, you know, the flying car cheat, the exploding car cheat, the invisible car cheat, the pimp mobile cheat, all of them. We would use every single one and just see what we could do to make some crazy story for ourselves, where we're running from the police, obviously, based on a true story.
Spoilers.
Spoilers based on a true story. We haven't gotten there yet.
Wait, I have a question.
Just made it dark.
This is your...
Yeah. So from GTA 3, we jump right ahead to...
Yeah. So we're on GTA 4 right now. I mean, not non-specific. I mean, just GTA, you know, as we just said, is very iconic. You know, I was hanging out with one of my friends the other day, and I've never seen this man play a video game in his life, but he powered up his PS3 to play GTA 5, and I just see him, like, real quick enter the cheat code for helicopters and everything. Oh, there it is. There you go. Yo.
Wait, bring it back out, Josh.
Yeah.
Bring it up, Judge. Do you want to sign my copy?
Shut up.
Platinum hits.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So...
Disgusting.
Nico, come sign my copy!
Oh, yeah, wait, I'm Nico. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Let's go get some burgers!
So after years of everyone asking me to go bowling, you know, GTA 4, right, we would, you know, I've never even played a single story mission in GTA 4, let alone finished the story in any GTA game. Now, you know, when we were in high school, right, we would hop on Xbox and we would, like, play this game called Taxi Driver, right? You know, we kind of unlocked this, you know, we thought we had unlocked this, like, new potential to the game.
Now, one thing for those of you that have only played GTA 5's online, there was no money in GTA 4 online. There were no microtransactions, nothing like that. It was just the world, nothing for you to do. You just had to make your own fun out of it. And that's kind of what we did when we invented Taxi Driver a little before Nico got the game.
Yeah. So
You gotta have a creative mind. I fucked that up. Anyway, continue.
PG. F in the chat. Yeah. So, you know, basically the object of this game, right? One person would be the bank robber, or no, one person would be the driver, and everyone else would be the bank robbers, right? They would go in, they would pull a heist at like a liquor store or something, and we would try and see. They would hop in the taxi with the person who was the driver, and the driver wouldn't have any stars, and they would try and drive like a normal person. And everyone else would have like 4 or 5 stars on them, so there would just be cop cars and helicopters, like shooting rockets at this taxi. And like whoever was the taxi driver would just role play it. We'd be like, God, why are there police cars behind us? Like, should I pull over?
We were just getting ice cream, I swear.
It doesn't look like ice cream. Yeah.
So people played online just to have like a real job?
Yes.
I want to clarify. That was in the game itself, right? This whole.
No.
So this whole game type we invented ourselves just to figure out something to do because we got bored of just going on heists and like just running from the cops and being badasses.
So we decided to run from the cops, but slower. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say about GTA. I mean, all we did was mess around in that game, man. I never did anything outside of the online, and like I appreciate, the story elements of games like this, but it was just we only did that.
Yeah, and for me, I'm a fucking loser. I 100% at GTA 4 because I was bored and I did it. So I have all the trophies or all the achievements on Xbox, but we still put probably 100 hours into the online just doing stuff like Taxi Driver or trying to parkour with that game's horrible physics. Trying to climb anything at all or stand on the back of a car and hope that you don't go flying off and ragdoll and all that.
Swing set.
Or the swing set. That's a really good one.
Dude, we always did the swing set every single time.
So for those of you that may not know, in GTA 4 there's this one specific swing set you could go to where if you backed up your car onto it, for some reason the way it was like modeled into the ground, it would just clip and send you flying all the way across the city or into buildings or anything like that. You would usually die.
We did it with a bus and we fell under the map. It was great. And going through this experience, right, with our friends online, it brought us together as a group of friends. It brought us closer, and I think that was a big part of why we started, screwing around in this game. A big part of why we decided not to, to forego the story mode. It brought, me and my friends together, brought us closer to some of our friends. So.
Don't talk to me. Good point.
I wanted to bring up a coincidence real quick. Not with GTA 4, but GTA Vice City, actually. One of my favorite things to do in the game, like to screw around, was to pretend that I'm a police officer. You're able to get the uniform and whatnot, and drive around the car, and like do the vigilante mode and everything.
That's a really good one. I don't think I ever got into uniform for that one. I got into uniform for the pimp missions in San Andreas.
Trav, did you play GTA?
So as someone who's never played Grand Theft Auto in my life, I feel like I'm missing out on a lot.
It's only good if you have friends.
Actually, wait, no. I did play GTA 5 once, and I played it for like an hour, and I was using keyboard controls.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't. I couldn't play it.
You lose all credibility, Trav.
Maybe after class.
Inferiority.
Yeah, so at the risk of being long-winded, this is Mr. Claudio Sanchez from Coheed Cambria. And the reason I have him up there, I think there's a lot of parallels, between like video games and music, because I'm a musician myself. Like I'm not necessarily, like all these guys are on YouTube and I'm just, over here in my own, back in the corner of my basement doing my thing. But, something they don't teach you in music learning school is that you have to, there's another layer to it essentially of like acting your emotions, like and being able to express yourself fully onto a track or onto a piece of music. And I think that same thing is true in video games because there's a layer of, okay, the developers intended this, but then we as the players get to decide what we can do and express ourselves better in our games that way.
Like, for example, if you wanted to level up Aerith to level 99 and get everything complete, you could do that. And that's totally against what the game's objective ends up being, but you can do it. It just hurts that much more.
Yeah. Or if you wanted to play as Mitch McConnell in Bloodborne and just keep dying. So, I did that.
That happened.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to kill him, to be fair.
I also wasn't trying to make Mitch McConnell. It just happened. Yeah.
Just made a turtle.
Yeah. All right, give me the next one.
Speaking of which, that was a good transition.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. So, okay, so, yeah. Character slider is one of the classics. I've never gotten past Megaton in Fallout 3. And you can see there's a theme here. I would always try to, make a new character and try and, play as this person. And I think that a lot of that comes down to, when we are playing these games, to a certain extent, these characters represent who we are as people. And, whoever we're playing in this game, gives us this outlet, like I said, for expression, to be able to play the game how we want to play it, and not always necessarily how the developers want to intend for it. Or if you're trying to like play a character in a specifically role-playing game, like exactly how they intended it, but for our own personal sense of humor and our own personal tastes. Yeah, and there's as you can see, there's like Bloodborne sliders. People make like Harry Potter and everything in Bloodborne, and they just play as their favorite characters. And I think it's really, really cool to be able to do that. Yeah.
Actually, I want to touch very quickly about the whole character sliders thing. I barely played Fallout 4. I admit I barely did the first couple of hours because just the game didn't really connect with me. But one of the coolest ways to mess around in that game is your robot assistant, I forgot his name, but there's apparently a list of something like about... Thank you guys. I think there's like 200 different names that he actually verbally calls you, regardless of what you name your character. I mean, you can do regular stuff, regular names like, Kevin or Nico or you.
No, he doesn't say it. There is a character in that game named Travis, and he won't say Travis.
But apparently he also says some really weird stuff like butt face. If you actually write butt face, that actually is one of those things.
Me and him, we were playing Fallout 4 like a couple months ago. We made our character look ugly as hell, and we named him Fuckface, and he says it.
Oh, he actually says it. Oh, okay. So.
And he won't say Travis.
Just a little lower in the list of names.
Like, there's a whole list you can find.
Yes, it is.
In my game, he's like, Mr. Fucker. I'm like,
if you want to get pissed off, you can call him Quatermax, and he'll say it.
And that is why we mess around in video games. Good night.
Shut it down, boys. That's it.
Now, going back to our high school Xbox Live days, actually, I'll take this one short. Going back to our Xbox Live days, we would play a ton of Halo 3 custom games back in the day. And custom games and Forge mode in general were a huge expression of doing whatever you want in a game. You can make a really, really good shooter level that really feels like a Halo level. I mean, in Halo Reach, the developers made Lockout from Halo 2 in their Forge mode for Reach. And that was awesome to see because it showed just how capable that Forge engine is. And on top of that, there were the custom games. For example, in Halo 2, there was a custom game called Infection or Zombies or something of the sort like that. And it became so popular that over the course of Halo 2 into 3 and finally into Reach, they turned it into an official game mode where it had an actual built-in rule set that you could manipulate and adjust. And with that, the fans who were screwing around affected the development and the history of a beloved franchise like Halo. And I think that's huge. Yeah, what's up, Elliot?
There's actually another case of that with Call of Duty. A lot of people would play what was called like Michael Myers mode, I believe, where they would pretty much like turn off the maps, like the radar, go to like a random map, and there's one killer and then like a whole bunch of other people playing.
Yeah, and that was in Halo 2, I believe.
They actually made a mode in like I think it was Ghosts. I think
so. It was one of the ones that no one played.
It was Ghosts.
It's happening in Overwatch right now too.
Yeah, it's in a lot of shooters, people who are modding the game or using the custom modes really do have an impact.
I was playing with a group of people on some of the new custom workshop mode in Overwatch, and they literally created, just as an example one, you can now play gun game in Overwatch.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
The last person, the last character you play as is a Torbjorn, no turret, no ultimate. You just have your hammer and your one ability, and you have to get the winning kill.
That's cool. I like that.
I'm a Torbjorn main. I'm actually curious to try it out, actually.
I might reinstall Overwatch.
Start from McCree and like work your way up through a bunch of characters.
I know with Call of Duty on PC, there was a certain game mode, and I don't remember what the name of it was, but someone modded in a game mode that turned into an official mode for the remaster of Call of Duty 4.
Oh, wow.
Prop Hunt, that's the one, yeah. And that became an official mode in the remaster for all systems, not just PC. And speaking of shooters, I know Trav wants to do his thing.
I never played Halo, but I played a lot of Doom. So, for people who don't know the whole deal with Doom, they basically decided to make the game, what's the term?
Open source.
So yeah, open source. And one of the co-creators of Doom, like how long ago? Like less than a month ago, like put out his own Doom mod, like a full campaign in the original engine, and people are playing it. And a bunch of people made their own games, sold it for money, using like the same engine that Doom provided. And like Hexen, I don't. What'd you say?
Noah's Ark.
No, that was Wolfenstein. Get out.
Hexen
Quest?
Hexen? You mean like the game from like the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hexen was on the Doom engine.
That's cool. I didn't know that actually. Okay.
Quake is different.
What's the Mega Man one?
Wait, but Half-Life was made on the Quake engine, so yeah, kinda. I mean, I guess that's not really why we screw around, but
even to this day, a bunch of the Call of Duty games still have remnants of the Quake 3 and sort of Quake 2 engines from, was it 1995, 6, somewhere around there?
That was... Can we look that up? I think it was 96.
I don't care. I know you were going to mention something about in Doom there are so many different hidden rooms.
Yeah, in Doom you would just why did I bring that up again? No, the secrets in Doom were really rewarding. In the first level of Doom, it's basically like you just go from point. We could have put this on the spread or the presentation.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's almost a straight line from point A to point B, but there's all these secrets optional around the map that you don't have to get them, but if you get them, you can get weapons early, you can find secrets that'll bump your health up, and you know, sometimes just going off the beaten path, you get rewarded for it.
Yeah, and that's a lot of, I mean, millions of Easter eggs probably at this point have been thrown into games that just reward you for doing something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Going back to GTA, there are a bunch of Easter eggs for going outside of the playable map, where in GTA 3, you could somehow mod yourself into the biplane and get over a certain ledge, and it says, you shouldn't be here on the wall. And even the developers thought of ways to reward players for just being weird and out there.
And all the GTA 3 like remakes or whatever, like they would always change the sign.
Yeah, it's changed every time they've done GTA 3 remasters since.
Did they really?
Yeah.
They'll do one that's like glad you remember or something like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Didn't Sakurai put a picture of his cat into Smash 4?
Yeah, in the Pokemon Stadium 2 stage.
I don't know that we know that that's...
It was the reflective, like, shine.
Yeah, I don't know if that it's Sakurai's cat anymore. Someone said it wasn't, and I believe them. But I trust the internet.
Next one. Oh.
No, I put that in. Trust me. That's an Easter egg.
All right, so I wanted to talk about Hot Wheels Turbo Racing.
Why? You have still not explained to me why.
You're a good man. Don't worry about him.
Electronic Arts, no!
So, this is an EA game.
Where are the loot boxes?
Good EA game.
I brought this up as a joke. Both in my announcement video that I was coming to this convention and to these guys. I'm like, I want to talk about Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. But then I thought, there's actually something that I find interesting about it that's related, and I swear it's not why I wanted to talk about it. But okay, so imagine you're playing Mario Kart, and the way that you would unlock other characters isn't, beating certain cups and all. It's if they were scattered around the map and like out of the way, not even shortcuts. They're just like, you just turn left and you get last place. But there's this little guy that's just sitting there, and that's how you unlock more characters. And as a kid, I thought that was the coolest shit ever.
Have you played Sonic R?
I don't want to play Sonic.
Sonic R would have been a much better way of talking about that.
Hot Wheels.
Sonic R's better. Cool.
Aren't they the same thing?
What's that?
Aren't they the same thing?
Is it really like that in Sonic R too?
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to talk about this game anymore.
When is the HD remaster though?
What?
Where's the HD remaster?
Dude, they lost the license to Hot Wheels. That's not happening. I don't know.
Who
I know the most recent time I saw Hot Wheels in a video game was in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. I'm pretty sure Danica Patrick drives a Hot Wheels car, I'm pretty sure.
She does.
Time to buy a Sonic game.
Get on it, Sumo Digital.
No, get for the Horizon 3. There's a whole entire Hot Wheels.
Wait, what?
You can't go find it and buy it. We're done.
Oh,
Too many
yeah,
games is over.
Oh.
Forza 3 had Hot Wheels expansion pack, actually, too.
Yeah.
And Force has Lego.
Yeah.
There we go.
And,
I need it.
Rocket League has Hot Wheels cars as well. Yeah, they do.
Right.
Witty transition.
8 o'clock. It says 8 o'clock right there.
It does say 8 o'clock. So, you wanted to talk about Metal Gear Solid and Breath of the Wild, so I went with this picture. Yes!
Thank you, boss.
Oh, okay.
You were like, hey, let's talk about Metal Gear Solid.
I thought you said we already talked about it.
No, we wanted to.
Metal Gear.
Okay. So, one of my favorite things, because I'm a weirdo, not really, I don't know.
Yeah, you are.
My favorite kind of open world games are the ones that feel almost empty. You know, like Breath of the Wild, Metal Gear Solid 5. And maybe it's because there's nothing to do in them that I find them more enjoyable. It's almost like, you know, you're just walking down the street and like, why would I go over to that store that sells bees? And what are you doing? No! All right, well now they're zoomed in. There's nothing for me to gain from going over there, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna pick some plants. I'm gonna tranquilize some animals. You know, it just happens. But I mean, I guess in Breath of the Wild it's more rewarding because if you kill something, you can take their organs. What's up, Elliot?
I understand what you're saying, but where's the line that it kind of breaks? Where it's just like there's literally like nothing in your field.
Oh, you're talking about Rage.
Okay.
There's a question at a certain point where it becomes like, what is the objective of a game?
What is too empty?
With something like, something like Breath of the Wild versus like Twilight Princess, where a lot of people feel a much smaller world was much emptier than Breath of the Wild's because it was full of optional crap you could do, but it just gave you a heart piece or some rupees or something like that. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, I would argue, not every single inch, but a good amount of that game is designed in such a way for you to avoid the objective, which is saving Zelda. She can wait. I want to go get that tree chopped down and get some Deku nuts or something.
Harry Town.
Well, I know that there's a what? Look, I know that there's
Minecraft. That's it.
Look, I know that there's a walking tank going around, but I need to capture some goats.
One of my favorite things in general, Breath of the Wild, I think it was within the first 3 hours that I played that game. And that's kind of a testament why I think it's one of the best games like in the last few years or so, is the fact that anything in that world you can touch and do something with it. Yeah. And I remember there was one part that there was a chasm I had to cross and I had nothing to use. And then right next to it there was a tree. I didn't even know I could use an axe to cut down that tree and use the tree to actually cross that gap. Yeah. So many games just have the tree as just like dressing. They don't do anything at all. Yeah. And that's what makes Breath of the Wild so great, is because you use a lot of the environment to mess around and have fun with and actually explore new areas.
Yeah, basically. You could put the Octorok balloon on things and then blow them away with a thing.
Base.
What'd you say?
Extract to mother base.
Yeah, you can put balloons on people.
And on that same note, there are other shrines in Breath of the Wild, like the ball pit ones, those that everyone hates. Yeah. Those were designed in such a way that you could flip the ball track thingy upside down and just do it that way. That was the way the game was designed for you to be able to do that. For you to be able to do your own way of figuring out what you want to do, and that's awesome.
I'm not sure if it was designed with that in mind.
No, that was an interview. Numa mentioned.
All right.
Oh,
screw me.
I mean, it's gave me a conversation there.
Either one.
There's one part, I think it was Elliot actually was playing Breath of the Wild and was on one of those ball things and he accidentally punted it into the whole
I saw that.
Yeah.
I did that too. It was so good.
What I was gonna say was there's also those like islands that if you go on it, it takes all your shit. And literally you have to find everything.
Yeah, that was.
I loved those.
Eventide was one of the best points in the game for me. I love that so much.
I actually like that one.
It was your first shrine?
It was like my third one.
That.
I'm like, what's that island over there? I'm gonna go explore it.
How did you skip the entire track to get there? You just miss every other shrine. Oh, hey, water! Let me go through that.
I managed
I'm not gonna drown. It's fine.
I managed to walk past so much stuff. I tried, like, I looked up where the Korok forest was, walked entirely around it, went, where is it?
I mean, my 6 like shrine was a major test of strength, so I mean, same.
That was me.
Yeah. When I was playing Breath of the Wild, there was actually one specific shrine where they had like morning star or maces that were swinging from chains.
Oh, yeah.
I finished accidentally by using magnesis to wrap it around the top, and I took a selfie with that.
Nice. Another thing that happened during the Korok, the Lost Woods, like what they intend you to do is there's a torch at some point, and you need to get it and light it, and you need to stand still and make sure to like follow where the
where the wind blows.
Yeah, where the wind blows.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. And if you're nearing a point where it's about to like take you back to the beginning, it'll start like getting more foggier. I just walked away and be like, okay, do I go?
That's how I did it.
Got lucky.
That is how I did it.
That's how I did it.
There was one shrine. It might have been.
Yes! Did you do that too? Oh my god! I'm not alone!
Yeah, you're supposed to watch which direction the embers fly off.
Yeah, it's
That's
like,
why the torches are there to teach you,
it's
but
so
not
good. Like
apparently not well.
Like, I'm surprised they even like thought of doing that. That's something you see nowadays.
It took me 20 minutes to get through that.
It took me about maybe 30.
Trav, you
Make
saw
sure to
the
come back.
25 it took me when I did it.
Make sure to come back for our next panel on not being able to find the objective in games.
I know there was one more before we move on with Breath of the Wild where there was a shrine, I think it was a DLC shrine, where you had to get one of the moving rock balls into a golf hole essentially, and it was going through this huge waterfall.
That wasn't a DLC.
That one wasn't DLC. Okay.
Wasn't DLC.
Okay. I might have.
Specific
There were a few that I did during one of the DLCs that I found late. That might have been the one. But I literally just climbed. I built ice pillars and climbed my way up, and then just smacked it so it went in because I could not get it any other way. I couldn't do the puzzle, so I just jumped my way over.
Wait, that's not how you're supposed to do it?
I mean, it can be. You can avoid the objective.
Okay.
You can put off the Master Sword for 13 whole hearts. You don't have to go after them.
I cheated for that too. I used the extra hearts that you can get.
Yeah. I went and I accidentally upgraded my stamina, but just degraded it as much as I could and went, great, I have hearts now. And then as soon as I got the Master Sword, get rid of all the hearts.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, good man.
And you can also launch yourself on rocks.
Yeah.
So does that mean any schmuck who makes like gives himself more help with food could just pull out the Master Sword?
No.
Basically.
So from moving from one open world game to another, I know Dan, you wanted to mention a couple games.
Yeah, this next one in particular. Has anyone ever played Sunset Overdrive? Am I the only person? So this literally is the one reason why I got the Xbox One back in the day. I'm a huge fan of Insomniac Games, and I just wanted to see what they have in store. And I think about a year ago, it was the one reason why I was actually glad of keeping my Xbox until it was released on Steam, and I'm like, great. Yeah. Now it's just sitting there collecting dust. But what I really like about Sunset Overdrive is I think there are two categories of open world games, like what defines a good open world game. One is like Breath of the Wild, when you have a world and you have a lot of stuff to do in that makes basically playing the game basically very fun because you can create your own adventures. The other form is Sunset Overdrive, I would say. It's a world that maybe doesn't have the most memorable landmarks in it, but it's very fun to explore because the controls, like traversing around the world, is incredibly fun. You can jump very high. You can grind on every surface you see. If you see a little like parasol that some guy made a shop, you can jump on that and ruin his like hot dog stand if you want to. You can just run on walls. It's just incredibly insane.
I know, moving from that game to what that game turned into.
That's basically was the prototype for this little small indie game that came out last year. It has this Spiderman? Spider-Man from Marvel Spider-Man last year. Same people who brought us Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah,
Gave us that
and a lot of that same gameplay that Sunset Overdrive had Spider-Man really took that and just took it to the next level. Any of you have played it, you know how fun it is just to swing around and really makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Shut up.
I'll leave now.
Don't talk to me.
What's this indie game?
So this is Knack. What? So this is a little thing where I wanted to talk about speedrunning and what speedrunning does, and what speedrunning can be as a way to avoid the objective. Because everyone who's gone through and found a glitch in a game, or the backwards long jump like this right here, you can tell that they went out of their way to avoid the objective and figure out new ways to do new things in the game to either get to the end without getting any stars or getting any coins. There's a whole series on YouTube about doing missions or doing games without getting a coin or jumping or anything like that, and those are all in the very same spirit. Go ahead.
Trav, weren't you the guy on stream that beat the Breath of the Wild DLC by clipping out of bounds?
Yes. I didn't want to do the Master Sword Trials.
I actually do speedruns sometimes, and I've actually found some glitches and they weren't exactly me trying to go out of my way to get out of, avoid the objective. They were more found out of frustration and getting a bit angry.
There was one that I had in the original Ratchet & Clank game. There's a speedrun tactic that I discovered that no one else in the world had found, that I later found out was useless. For those of you that have played Ratchet & Clank, if you go to, it's called Calibo 3. It's like the second to last level in the game, one of the hardest levels in the original game. There's this little, I should have put a picture of this on there. Shit. There's a little gate that you can go through, but you need to go through the entire level to activate it and open it up to get to the hoverboard race at the very end. And I figured out that if you use the Visibomb, it's a little rocket that you can manipulate like a drone, and you see where it flies. If you use it at just the right point, you can get over the laser wall and click that switch to just skip the entire level. And then I found out that anyone who speedruns the game skips that level anyway, so what do I know?
I learned so much. Thanks today. That's so awesome. Yeah.
You can thrust the packet in the air. I just learned that. It's in the manual.
I think that the speedrunning is super cool because it just creates, like we said before, it creates the sense of community and it brings people together in a way that just playing the game normally wouldn't. Obviously every game has its fanhoods and it has its communities, but the speedrunning community as a whole kind of comes together in a different way to help each other out and develop new techniques, and I think it's a really cool way to think critically about video games.
So I have something to comment on Mr. Green Shirt Speedrunner Man over there. I just want to say that that's the exact same way that I beat Mario 64. I didn't have the patience to go through and get all 70 stars to actually make this a not endless staircase. And I'm just I'm gonna look up how to get past this, and I spent 2 hours trying to figure out how to backwards long jump. And that's I probably could have just gotten the stars in that time.
I found it it wasn't a glitch that was known beforehand at all. It was it was in Infamous 2. In a certain mission, you can jump off of you were having to ride this boat through a swamp, and you can jump off the boat early, but you have to do a bunch of different objectives. If you actually jump off the boat early and kill yourself and die, and go and then jump off the boat early a second time, it actually just glitches out the entire thing, and you get all the objectives are complete when you jump off.
So you just got frustrated with the game and was like, I'm gonna break this, and you did?
No, I got frustrated and jumped off the boat and then tried again, and I was like, wait, everything's completed, what just happened?
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's awesome.
My buddy found something like that for Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge is one of those games too, where you can do just a bunch
fell
of different things.
into an area and died, and it hit the checkpoint, so it's just
And it just worked?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Mirror's Edge, that should have been one I included, because there's so many ways to get around the objective in that game. I don't know about the I don't know about the sequel, but
it's a shame.
reboot,
Catalyst actually deserves a little more love than it gets, because I have it on PC and it's a lot of fun.
Let's say people do it in Dark Souls and Bloodborne too. I think it's really cool that they they find stuff like that to be able to get the camera to point directly down on your character, and you can just bypass a whole ton of stuff, reset the game, and then you're behind doors and stuff like that. Yeah.
There's that one glitch in Sonic 06 where if you talk to the captain in a certain way, you can basically walk to the end credits.
One glitch in Sonic 06?
When you pass the ball puzzle,
Do what Fallout 76 does. Look at the ground and then run really fast.
That's a whole nother mess. I'm not even touching Fallout 76.
Increase your frame rate.
Get a better piece.
Did my computer die? Oh, so that was kind of where we were done. So we will start taking questions in a bit. Whoever wants to go first.
Good Lord.
Trav, you pick first.
I'm gonna relax. You, green shirt. Yeah.
I'd say this is less of a question, more of like just a personal story. One of my favorite things to do when messing around in video games is to just play as a friendly character in Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
With all the crazy hats and outfits you can make, and all the taunts and stuff, you can just walk up to somebody, shout a bunch of voice lines, and they won't shoot you because just like, well, it's silly.
Do you just pull out the sandwich and run around? Just offer a high five taunt every once in a while.
Yeah. Or just conga everywhere.
There you go. I like you. All right, let's go.
You.
Hi. Yeah, I also wanted to make a comment. Anyone ever played Earthbound before?
Yeah.
Well, has anyone ever tried to make nests give pull up bunny ears?
Okay. Can someone elaborate?
So whenever you have that guy fall down out of the sky and he takes a picture of you, Ness always gives the 2 fingers.
Oh, okay.
Like this.
Photo mode's another example in general,
That's a
really.
good point.
Yeah.
And if you position him in a certain way where Paul is standing right in front of you, right before he's able to take that picture, you're able to make it so that he's giving her bunny ears.
Okay. I forget who did this, but now that I'm thinking about photo mode, I'm thinking about the one picture in Spider-Man of Peter Parker. Wait, actually no, that's spoilers. I won't.
Spoolies?
Yeah, I can't.
No spoilers.
I can't talk about that one actually. I just caught myself. Never mind.
Our man died 60 years ago. It's okay to spoil it.
Wrestling panel last year. Or this year.
I think you're forgetting like an obvious example with like this one game. So at least before they patched Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, you had the you had the Knuckles jumping glitch, which infinite jump glitch with Knuckles, and I knew some people manipulated that to get to the final area.
Yeah, I think that became a speedrun strat before they patched it. For those of you that don't know, in Sonic Boom on Wii U, you could pause the game while jumping. I think only as Knuckles, right?
No, you're doing a ground slide sort of move, and you like get some elevation up, and if you pause right at the peak of that, you can it repeats it.
All right, well, he said it for me.
Hi.
Yeah, you can also do the same thing in Sonic 06. If you have like the purple gem with Sonic, he just becomes smaller and you can jump indefinitely.
Yeah.
And the weird part, that's not a glitch. They programmed it.
It's a feature.
It's a feature, and you can use it indefinitely too.
So is spinning around on a box to go to space.
I was about to mention that actually too. You can do like this, like a slide on like a metal crate, and you just fly up to space.
Silver throwing out of balance.
But that's no use. Okay, let's pick someone. You're right there.
So, one comment, one question. How many people here have like ADD and just cannot stay focused on the main objective?
Hi.
Thank you.
When I said that I only made it to Megaton in Fallout 3, I meant like 25 times. Like literally, I just would like create a character and like forget about it. Create a character, yeah, I just couldn't like. I just wanted to create a character. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, going along the lines of like the Team Fortress 2 sandwich thing, lately there's been this kind of like phenomena where people are using the kid to squid thing called squid bagging and just spamming booyah kid to squid.
Oh no, I hate those people.
You know, for kids.
Yeah, just like knife range.
All right. Hi, Locke.
Hi.
What's your question?
Why didn't you talk?
What the?
Guys.
I have 2 questions.
Mario's breaking out this dimension.
What is happening?
It's the TV.
We can.
TV is haunted.
Did that fix it?
No, you can't.
I'm gonna roll this D20 to see if I can fix the TV.
I was gonna say, what was Guy doing here?
Ooh, 13.
It's a 13. It'll be fixed, but not great.
Oh my god! I had 2 questions.
Okay.
Because the second one
I love it.
First of all, why did you summon Satan? And second of all, if you want for a good example of turning, like, bumming around in a game and turning it into a real thing, Team Fortress and Counter-Strike both started as Half-Life mods, and Half-Life started as a Quake modification.
Started as a Quake mod, which would prove wrong what I said about to Elliot about Quake not having mods. I'm sorry, I forgot. But regarding Satan, I mean Doom came before Quake, so.
Sabrina, go ahead.
So instead of playing Fortnite regularly, I like to play with Haru and just push me in the shopping cart all day.
That's the best way to play.
And literally, I think we've gotten like 2nd place.
I think we got 2nd place. Haru, we won a game by just driving around in a golf cart. You guys did. You were there. No, I wasn't. I swear you were. I'm not.
There was one time.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
One time recently, we were playing Apex Legends. And
favorite game.
I play as Pathfinder a lot of the time, and both of my teammates had died. We were all in a party. They both died, and I said, "Don't worry, I got you." So I grabbed their banners to go to revive them, and I set up at least 7 zip lines in the small room I was in, and just kept riding them around in circles while they got mad at me. Sean.
Love you.
Yeah.
Question for all 4 of you.
Oh no. Oh good.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me.
But I love you.
Every game you play, you know, there's always the main objective. Has there ever been a game that pissed you off so much that you sold it right after, or you just broke it?
Like objective?
You want to go first? I got really frustrated with F-Zero GX as a kid.
Yes.
And I ended up selling it, and I really regret that because that game's worth more money now.
You killed the franchise.
Don't pin this on me.
For same thing with Luigi's Mansion.
I did it with
You
I like
did
that
everything
game.
wrong. I brought back Metroid.
For me, there was one game that so I've had my PS2 controllers since the day the PS2 came out. Like, that's a launch day PS2 with the 2 controllers that came with it. And I've never damaged them except for once. And I was playing on a binge going through every classic Mega Man game for the first time. On the PS2 Anniversary Collection, playing Mega Man 8.
Oh no.
Those snowboarding sections with the stupid jumping and the stupid fucking sliding. I almost had it down to a science, but I could not do it, and I threw my controller at the ground. It still works. It's got a little crack in it, but that's the point where I stopped playing that game for a month or 2.
Kevin, pics or it didn't happen.
I'll send a pic, don't worry.
Yeah, so I kind of turn my brain off when I go to play, when I go to play my games. I just kind of, all these dark clouds, all the blue lens that I see over my life kind of go away when I'm sitting down to play video games. So I don't really get too heated. But our good friend Jake, Kevin's roommate, he's in this room. I won't tell you who he is. He will find out. He just went Super Saiyan on his Bloodborne disc, and he frisbeed it across the room, and it snapped in half. Yeah. So that and one of our childhood friends broke 3 Turtle Beach headsets playing Modern Warfare 2. Wow. And I thought that was kind of funny. His mom got mad at him. It was funny.
I remember that Bloodborne story, and I'm going to tell it even more. So, I was sitting there trying to sleep. It was like probably early afternoon, but I don't sleep. So I was sleeping. It's probably noon, and I just hear screaming, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. He gets mad sometimes. I understand.
Need some of these.
I should have put the earplugs in, but then I just hear, "What the fuck?" And I hear a slam against the wall, and then I get a text 10 minutes later, "I broke Bloodborne." I can see that.
Oh God, I'm dead.
How can I even follow this? I don't know if I even should, but honestly, I'm very glad that my room is basically like my bed, pretty much, because recently Sekiro, which is probably my favorite game of the year so far, has frustrated me to no end. If you went against Genichiro, that boss took me like 5 hours to beat, and I'm so glad I have pillows everywhere, so I throw my controller, and I'm so glad it's padded. But my main story, I would say, is that me and my friend, we played Melee. I think he was also like a very serious tournament player as well back in Israel, where I grew up in. And we played together, and we have fun, and I think he was trying to do a target test with Luigi, and he was doing it without looking at the screen. That's how crazy he was, and he actually got it. He got it right. But it was 10 milliseconds less than the time he wanted, so he grabbed my controller and broke it. To this day, I would still like a new GameCube controller, by the way, wherever you are. Merson should remain nameless, so.
I'm upset at that.
Sure. Let's see.
I'll go with Mario Hat over there. Mario.
Okay. So a lot of times my screwing around has actually led me to the objective. For example, anytime I'm in a platformer that has a hub world that connects all the levels, they're usually going to have like a few Easter eggs or a way to unlock a level in there. Like in Mario 64, after you go downstairs in the basement, you find that one room that's got the 2 pillars. I'm just like, what happens if I do this? I ground pound them without even thinking about it. There's the boat that goes away. How often do you accidentally find the objective?
Oh, good question. That's a good one.
Do you have one?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, props. It happens to me all the time in Bloodborne and Dark Souls and stuff when I'm trying to go the wrong way to get more loot, but then I end up going the right way and it just brings me to stuff. Or if I'm in Firelink, I'll just go and accidentally find a merchant or whatever, without having to look up the body video on it. So yeah.
I'm gonna bring back Sekiro very quickly because I'm actually playing this game and I love it. But for me, it's the opposite. For me, I find the objective, but I don't want to find the objective. It's I don't have the right items, and there's a boss right there. And I'm no, I don't want to face you. No, and I'm dead, and I lose all my experience. Crap. That's basically the extent of my experience with that game.
I've had moments in a franchise that I don't feel proud of enjoying. I'm going to put a pause between the 2 words. Deus Ex? Thank you. Anyway, there's moments where it's oh, you gotta go break into some dude's apartment and steal something off his table. But you could go into each of the apartments and loot them, and I'll just get carried away. And there's moments where you'll punch through a wall and you'll be in some other dude's apartment. I'm okay, cool, more loot. And then I just pick up all of this stuff on this desk, and they're okay, you got it. I'm wait, what?
I think we have time for a few more.
Yeah, a few more.
Let's see. You and the men shirt, or men, sorry, not.
Yeah, men.
You and the men shirt.
You and the women's shirt.
Now that we're men.
I'm so sorry.
One of the ways I kind of remember screwing around was turning single-player games into multiplayer games by making some kind of competition.
Oh, okay.
I remember me and my older brother and my cousin had Mega Man 64/Mega Man Legends.
Oh, yes.
And there was this one boss where you're fighting this giant robot in the city, and it can destroy buildings.
Yeah.
And we made a game to see who can get that robot to destroy the entire city the fastest without dying.
Nice. I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you've ever played the Stanley Parable, it's it's a game that's basically designed around avoiding the objective. Because every time the game tells you not to do something, and players will inevitably do it, so it tells you to go up the stairs, but if you go down the stairs, there's a whole crazy story down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
We stand the Stanley Parable. Oh man.
The guy, yeah.
Alright, so I'd like to let you guys know, me and her are the best Rocket League players in the world.
We have just had a claim that we have the best Rocket League players in the world in this room. Can I get a round of applause?
I'm really good at getting the most bonus points for our team. In which case, I go to the other team's. I go to my team's side and shoot balls into my own goals.
I personally like to do the thing I do best and drive backwards.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
Oh, thank
We
God.
would play split screen online and just mess around and screw over our third teammate by just making only K turns. I'm so sorry.
Surprisingly, no one really wants to play with me or Haru anymore.
I wonder why.
I can play properly, but I don't want to play with you.
One more? Yeah, with you, Joey. Okay, let's see. Elliot.
I think also another case is just like regular side quests in general.
Okay.
Because like, if you look at Final Fantasy 15, where the game is side quests galore.
Yeah.
You're doing so many side quests on top of each other, and yet you never go to the objective.
That was me with Xenoblade 1.
Yeah.
I liked Xenoblade 1 so much. This is 5 years ago now. I liked it so much that I was like, I'm gonna 100% this game. Don't do that. I got pretty far in, and I just had to put it down because I was like, I'm gonna die inside if I keep going for all these fucking side quests. Because there are probably 500 at least. Yeah, I didn't see him for several weeks.
I've got the platinum in 15, but and then hold up, I haven't. Okay, here's the thing: they don't require you to beat all the side quests, and I wanted to, and then they released the DLC, and I wanted to get all the trophies, and I said, "Fuck that!"
Xenoblade 2's case though, there's a side quest right at the beginning of the game where kids want to play hide and seek with you.
Yeah.
Through 2 New Game Plus runs, I have started it and then left them there.
You killed those kids.
Rex, where are you? That's like a child waiting for their dad to come back from the store.
At least you made my face.
So with that, we're going to totally avoid the objective of this panel and do something totally different. See, I looked it up maybe 20 minutes before this panel started, and it turns out there's no world record for most people T-posing in one place. You know where it's going.
Someone start the Halo theme. I don't know.
Yes! Someone take a picture! Yes!
I need to make room.
Oh, this is glorious! T-pose, my fellow brother.
Mannequin challenge.
Activate! Yes! Sing, my brothers! Sing the song of our people! This is glorious! Continue!
I put it down, It's shoulder day.
You mean shoulder?
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I'm hoping that's a world record. You guys have been awesome. Thank you.
Panel ever.